What happens when a racist principal targets a black Marine's daughter? He had no idea her quiet dignity came from military discipline, or that her father commanded thousands of Marines at the base he pretended to respect. Jasmine Carter stood at Westfield High's entrance, shoulders squared with military precision despite her anxiety. This would be her fourth school in 3 years. The familiar burden of being a Marine's daughter. The San Diego sun reflected off her dark skin as students flowed past, none realizing the inner strength carried by this military child. "Just blend in," she whispered, straightening her posture the way her father had taught her. Colonel Marcus Carter's lessons weren't just about appearance but resilience, skills Jasmine would soon need. As she approached the administrative office, Principal Richard Bennett watched her with thinly veiled disdain. His nameplate gleamed as if announcing authority. "Another military transfer," he said, reviewing her papers. He spoke the word military, like diagnosing an illness. "Yes, sir." Jasmine responded automatically, the reply of someone raised in a household where respect was foundational. Bennett's eyes narrowed. "We have many military families here, given our proximity to Camp Pendleton. They come and go." His fingers tapped her folder dismissively. "Just remember, Miss Carter, military or not, at Westfield, we have standards." The warning in his tone was unmistakable. Jasmine maintained her composure, a skill learned from watching her father deal with prejudice throughout his distinguished career. As a black officer who had risen command, Colonel Carter had taught his daughter that excellence was the only acceptable response to doubt. What Bennett saw was just another transient military kid. What he missed was a strategic mind developing behind Jasmine's careful gaze, a mind trained by one of the Marine Corps' most respected commanders. Within a week, Bennett's initial coldness evolved into targeted scrutiny. He personally interrupted Jasmine's advanced placement history class. "Miss Carter, a word," he announced in the doorway, his voice cutting through the lesson. In his office, surrounded by his achievements, Bennett gestured to her entrance exam results. "These scores seem unusually high for a student with your background." "My background, sir?" Jasmine asked, keeping her voice level the way she'd seen her father address challenging officers. "Constant transfers. Military families rarely prioritize academic consistency." He leaned forward, his assumption of superiority evident. "Previous schools have inflated grades for military children, a misguided sympathy, particularly for certain demographics." The implication hung in the air. Jasmine felt heat rising, but maintained the disciplined calm her father had modeled through 23 years of service. "With respect, sir, I earned those scores." Bennett smiled thinly. "We'll see. I've arranged for you to retake the assessment under supervision." That afternoon, Mrs. Washington, the black history teacher who administered Jasmine's retest, approached Bennett with results. She scored higher than before, 98th percentile. Washington's satisfaction was barely concealed. The girl knows her material. Bennett's jaw tightened. One test doesn't indicate pattern. Military families often struggle with structure. They're used to different standards. By the third week, Bennett's scrutiny evolved into systematic targeting. Jasmine's assignments faced random audits. Her tardiness was documented when other students received warnings. A new dress code clarification specifically prohibited the braided hairstyle she wore, a direct attack on her cultural identity. During lunch, Jasmine observed Bennett moving between tables, engaging warmly with certain students. None who looked like her, none from military families. "That's his thing," said Michael Rodriguez, sliding into the seat across from her. His father was a Navy corpsman who'd serve alongside Marines in combat zones. "Bennett's got issues with military kids, especially if you were black." Jasmine finished. Michael nodded. Last year, he blocked 3 military kids from National Honor Society, all minorities. Jasmine processed his intelligence with the methodical assessment her father had taught her. Strategic patience was a Marine Corps value that had served Colonel Carter throughout his career, from combat zones to Pentagon briefings. That afternoon, Bennett summoned Jasmine again. Her history paper sat on his desk, marked with a glaring C-. "Your thesis on military integration during the Korean War is biased," he explained. Too personal, not enough academic distance. I cited 6 academic sources and 2 primary documents, Jasmine countered, her voice steady. Perhaps at your previous schools, teachers allowed personal connections to cloud academic standards. His smile held no warmth. I suggest less personal topics in the future. As she left, Bennett called after her. Your father, he's what, a sergeant? He's in the Marine Corps, sir, she answered carefully, offering nothing more. Friday afternoon found students streaming toward waiting vehicles. Jasmine checked her phone when a sudden hush fell over the crowd. She looked up to see what had captured everyone's attention. A government-issued black SUV with military plates had arrived, but it wasn't the vehicle that silenced the teenagers. It was the man stepping out of it. Colonel Marcus Carter stood immaculate in his dress blues, the eagle, globe, and anchor insignia gleaming. Combat ribbons and medals lined his chest, including the Bronze Star and Purple Heart. Silent testimony to his sacrifice and leadership. His powerful presence caused several military parents in the pickup area to instinctively straighten, a reflexive response to command authority. Jasmine approached her father, conscious of stares. Dad, you didn't have to come in uniform. Colonel Carter's stern expression softened marginally. Meeting with the commandant ran long. Didn't have time to change. His deep voice carried naturally, causing nearby students to step back respectfully. 23 years commanding Marines had embedded authority into his every word. Principal Bennett emerged from the building, immediately noticing the commotion. His eyes widened at the decorated Marine before narrowing as he connected this imposing figure to Jasmine. You must be Miss Carter's father, Bennett said, approaching with an extended hand in suddenly cordial tone. Richard Bennett, Principal. Colonel Marcus Carter, her father replied, his handshake firm but brief. Bennett's smile tightened slightly at the rank. Colonel, I was under the impression. He recovered quickly. Well, we certainly appreciate our military families, though they do present certain unique challenges. Colonel Carter's expression remained neutral. My daughter doesn't bring challenges, Principal Bennett. She brings excellence. Of course, Bennett replied smoothly. Though transitions can be difficult for military children, their performance often reflects their unsettled circumstances. The following week, Bennett's approach shifted from subtle to overt. Jasmine discovered she had been excluded from advanced placement registration for the coming semester. Your file indicates inconsistent performance, the counselor explained apologetically, showing her a record containing several unexplained absences and poor conduct marks, none of which Jasmine recognized. During a school assembly, Bennett publicly praised stable, community-oriented families as the backbone of academic success, while glancing toward the section where military students predominantly sat. The final straw came when Jasmine learned her college recommendation letters had been delayed due to administrative concerns about accurately representing her capabilities. That evening, as Colonel Carter reviewed the documentation at their dining table, his expression remained calm, though his eyes held the focused intensity his Marines would have instantly recognized as dangerous. This is systematic, he observed, meticulously examining each altered record. Mrs. Washington says he's falsified records before. Jasmine added, but no one could prove it. Her father nodded slowly. What's your assessment of the situation? Jasmine straightened. This wasn't just a father asking his daughter. This was a commanding officer requesting analysis. He's escalating because I'm not reacting. He expects emotional outbursts to justify his narrative about military kids lacking discipline. She paused. Particularly black military kids. And your proposed response? Strategic patience, she answered without hesitation. Document everything. Build alliances. Choose the right moment for decisive action. Colonel Carter's stern expression broke into a rare smile. Marine Corps strategy in a high school setting. That's my girl. I learned from watching you handle prejudice throughout your career, Dad. The following Monday, Jasmine requested a meeting with Principal Bennett. She entered his office with a folder containing copies of her original records alongside the altered versions. These discrepancies need be addressed, she stated calmly, placing the documents on his desk. Bennett barely glanced at them. Administrative errors happen in large school systems, especially with transfer students. 17 specific errors, all detrimental to my record, don't happen randomly, Jasmine replied with the quiet confidence of someone raised by a Marine commander. Bennett's cordial mask slipped. You know, Miss Carter, I've seen your type before. Military brats who think their parents' service entitles them to special treatment. I've never asked for special treatment, Jasmine countered. Just equal treatment. Equal, Bennett scoffed. Military families move through this district, demanding accommodations while contributing nothing to our permanent community. My father has served this country for 23 years, Jasmine said, her voice steady despite the insult to her family's sacrifices. And I'm sure he's very good at following orders, Bennett replied dismissively. But this is an academic institution, not a barracks. As Jasmine stood to leave, she paused at the door. The Marine Corps Leadership Day is next week. Will you be attending? Bennett looked confused by the apparent non sequitur. Of course. District requires administrative representation. The annual Marine Corps Leadership Day arrived, an important community event where Camp Pendleton showcased military careers to local students. Principal Bennett arrived early, prepared to make obligatory appearances and network with potential donors. He didn't notice Jasmine until she appeared beside him during the welcoming ceremony, wearing a volunteer badge that granted her VIP access. Miss Carter, he acknowledged stiffly. I'm surprised to see you in the restricted section. I have responsibilities today, she replied simply. Before Bennett could inquire further, the ceremony began. The base commander stepped to the podium, and Bennett's confident expression froze. Colonel Marcus Carter stood before the assembled crowd, now wearing his full dress uniform with command insignia clearly visible. His authoritative presence commanded immediate respect from the hundreds of Marines standing at attention, their disciplined formations a testament to his leadership. As commanding officer of Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, Colonel Carter began, his voice projecting without effort. I welcome our community partners to this demonstration of Marine Corps excellence and readiness. Bennett's face drained of color as realization dawned. Jasmine's father wasn't just any Marine. He commanded the entire base, overseeing thousands of Marines in one of the largest military installations in the country. The superintendent of schools, standing nearby, leaned toward Bennett. You never mentioned your relationship with Colonel Carter. His daughter attends Westfield, correct? What a tremendous asset. Bennett's mouth opened and closed wordlessly as he watched Colonel Carter confidently address military and civilian leaders, several generals deferring to him with obvious respect. After the speeches, Colonel Carter approached, flanked by the district superintendent and two brigadier generals. Principal Bennett, Colonel Carter said evenly, the superintendent was just telling me about Westfield's commitment to supporting military families. The meeting in the superintendent's office 3 days later was brief but consequential. Bennett sat rigidly as Colonel Carter methodically presented the evidence Jasmine had gathered, altered records, discriminatory enforcement of policies, and documented patterns of bias against military families, particularly minorities. This isn't just about my daughter, Colonel Carter concluded with the precision of a military briefing. This affects dozens of military children whose parents serve this nation while their education is compromised. The superintendent turned to Bennett. Is there anything you'd like to add, Richard? Bennett attempted damage control. Perhaps there were misunderstandings, but my commitment to all students. The records speak for themselves, the superintendent interrupted. This district partners with military families. We don't penalize their children. Within a week, Bennett was placed on administrative leave, pending a full investigation. Mrs. Washington was appointed interim principal with a mandate to review all policies affecting military students. The school board implemented new district-wide protocols, ensuring fair treatment of military children, with Jasmine's documented experiences serving as a foundation for systemic change. What began as one principal's discrimination became the catalyst for institutional reform, proving that sometimes, as Colonel Carter often said, the longest route is actually the most effective. 2 months later, Westfield High School hosted its annual honor ceremony. Jasmine, now president of the newly formed Military Student Alliance, addressed the audience with the confidence of someone who had found her voice. Military children serve too, she said. We move when orders come. We adapt to new communities. We carry our identity with us, not tied to any single place. In the audience, her father sat in uniform alongside Mrs. Washington, now confirmed as permanent principal. The school had become a model for military family integration. Our strength comes from what others see as our greatest challenge, our ability to adapt and overcome, she continued. That resilience isn't just a military value. It's a life skill all of us can develop. After the ceremony, Colonel Carter embraced his daughter. Your mother would have been proud, he said quietly, his usual stoic expression softening. She always said fighting isn't just about winning, Jasmine replied. It's about changing things for those who come after you. As they walked out, a young black student approached nervously. Excuse me, my mom just got stationed here. I'm starting next week and I'm nervous. Jasmine smiled. First day, find me. Military kids stick together. That's what true leadership looks like, Colonel Carter observed as they drove home, not using power to dominate, but to uplift. True strength isn't about rank or authority. It's about standing firm with dignity. Has someone ever underestimated you because of your identity? Share your story below. Your experience might inspire someone facing similar challenges today.